All right.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, excellent. Okay.
All right, I'm going to call our board meeting together here, the regular board meeting of the Sunrise School Division Board of Trustees. I'm going to call our meeting to order. We are going to have O Canada by Hazel Ridge School. Please stand if you can do so. Thank you very much to Hazel Ridge School. I'd ask Trustee Rowan to please read our treaty acknowledgement.
We acknowledge the traditional land upon which Sunrise School Division resides as Treaty 1 territory. We honor our partnership with Canada's original peoples and respect the gifts of Indigenous history, culture, and language. We commit to moving forward in partnership with our communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Thanks very much, Melissa. Before we adopt our agenda, just for the people that are online, my name is Paul Manga. I'm the board chair. We have Superintendent Reed. We have Secretary Treasurer Thiessen. We have Assistant Superintendent Fieldberg. We have Trustee Wilson, Trustee Smith, Trustee Dent, Trustee Boytson, Trustee Rowan. We have Sarah Scott, our board support. We have Trustee Harris. And online we have Trustee Nickel. So there are 8 of us that are here. Trustee Roland is not able to be here tonight. So we're going to have the adoption of our agenda. Be it resolved that the board approve our agenda. Need a move and a second. A move by trustee Dent and seconded by trustee Boyton. Any questions to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 8-0. Thank you. We are going to move right into our board delegation. We'll come back to our chair's comments. So I'm going to turn this over to Jody.
Great, thanks, Paul. So tonight, normally we have the auditor from MNP, Wayne Lusk. Normally he's here in person to present, but due to conflicting schedules, he will be joining us from a remote location, but on Teams. As a component of the Public Schools Act, we have to complete a financial statement annually, and this is the audit portion where the auditor will identify any findings and review some financial statements to the board and give opportunity to the public should they have any questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Wayne Lusk, who can kind of go over some of the statements, and the viewers online can watch on the screens around us any of the information. So I'll let you go forward there, Wayne.
Thank you very much, Jody. And thanks again for allowing me to present your financial statements here this evening. I will share the screen.
Yep, we can see it.
Is that up?
Yeah. I'm just going to play around with the audio a little bit because we're getting a little bit more feedback than we tested. So. Okay, there we go.
We're all good?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you once again for allowing me to present your financial statements here. So we've got the consolidated claim statements, independent auditors, the clean bill of health, the unqualified.
Your microphone up. Here we go.
Muted him.
Consolidated financial position of the division as at June 30th, 2025, and the result of consolidated operations, changes in net debt, and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. It's exactly the report we're looking for. We'll move on to the body of the frame. And the first statement for presentation here is the consolidated statement of financial position. So it's consolidated, again, consolidating the three funds the school division has. So a special fund, capital fund, and operating fund. And just looking at some of the changes year over year, we've got total financial assets coming at $30,677,796, compared to $25,844,173 in 2024.
Excuse me?
Municipal government receivable,
Excuse me?
up from 11 million
Just Wayne,
to 346.
Wayne, I'm going to stop you for a minute. We just have trustee Nicholas. Go ahead, Don.
I can't hear Wayne. So if I can't hear Wayne, I don't know if the public can.
Okay, we're just playing around with the audio this afternoon at work with our testers, and now we're finding that there's a lot of feedback coming through. So, do you want to try that again, Wayne? We adjusted some.
So we're on the consolidated statement of financial position. Is that better, Jody?
Yeah, I think we're picking it up. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So we can see in the financial assets, it's increased, the total assets increased to $30,677,796 compared to $25,844,173. Predominantly that change in financial assets increase is on the municipal government receivable line, so timing of when payments were received there. And moving on to the liability section. So we can see the majority of change in the liability section is in the overdraft, and it's kind of reflective of the last comment. So with the increase in receivable, we're carrying a little bit more working capital requirement, and that's the overdraft. So as the receivables collected from the municipalities, then the overdraft will come back down to be more comparative with the prior year, with it being up to 22 million for the 17 million in the prior period. We've had some changes in accounts payable and accrued liabilities. Most notably, the accrued liabilities had retro pay in it last year, so that payable amount was up $5,295,000, whereas this year's $2,460,000, and it's reflective of the subsequent payment of that retro pay after the 2024 fiscal was over. Accounts payable, some timing issues with construction payables in there last year, and the rest of the payables are fairly consistent year over year. So we had total liabilities of $69,329,733 for $71,011,041 in the prior period. Moving on to net debt. So net debt is essentially your financial assets minus your financial liability coming to this total. So it's $38,651,937 for the $45,167,308 in the prior period. And moving on to the bottom section, non-financial assets. So this is predominantly your tangible capital assets. So the bricks and mortar and the equipment and buses and that type of thing is all captured in this one line item. And you can see it's down from $59,378,900 to $57,532,744 in the current year. And this is reflective of current year additions and net of depreciation that comes to this total number here, rather, of $57,532,744. Inventories are $43 this year, $4,000 in the prior period. They're slightly up. $37 this year. Expenses this year that will be expensed in fiscal 2026. And overall, we've got accumulated surplus that's increased $945,066 to $19,851,473, and that's an increase of $4,906,407, which is reflective of this year's current surplus. Moving on to the next page, which is the income statement, or the consolidated statement of revenue and expenses and accumulated surplus. And we see that difference of $4,906,000 and $407 right here, which is part of the continuity of the accumulated surplus at the bottom here. And this number here ties in nicely to the balance sheet at $19,051,473. And we can see how that surplus for the year is derived here. We've got an increase overall in total revenue coming at $89,511,395 versus $81,455,075 in the prior period. And predominantly that's on provincial funding itself, the provincial government revenue. So that's increased to $60,508,874 versus $53,953,611. Also, a slight increase in the municipal revenue funding. It's up to $26,569,155 versus $24,553,330 in the prior period. Moving into the expense section, it's also increased year over year. Total expenses for the current year comes in $84,673,702 compared to last year's number of $82,468,562. Predominantly, that's in regular instruction. Mostly wages and other inflationary expenses are up. As we can see, it's increased to $41,558,554 compared to $39,682,708. This comes down to our current year surplus, as we talked about before, of $4,906,407 compared to last year's deficit of $1,348,987. Add that to the opening accumulated surplus of $14,945,66. We get closing surplus for the year of $19,851,473 that ties into your balance sheet. So that's the high-level review of the consolidated trend statement, excerpts thereof. And I would open the floor to any questions that anybody
So Wayne, there aren't any questions that are from here.
All right, well, thank you very much. I will stop sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Back at control.
There was nothing during the meet. I just had a Winnipeg Free Press email, so that was just advertising. Yeah,
Okay.
so no questions prompted by the public. Excellent.
So Wayne, the only question that I'd like to, maybe I'll ask just one question, is that just for the public as well, can you just give it to us in plain English as far as you're concerned with regard to our audit and a clean audit? Can you just share that one more time, please?
As I said earlier, with the report itself is an unqualified audit report, is what they'll use in the industry, and that's also known as a clean bill of health. So you don't have any qualifications, any scope limitations, deviations from generally accepted accounting principles, all that stuff that would end up in an audit report. So the report is exactly what you're expecting and exactly what the province wants, as well as what the public would want to see as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Paul.
Great. Thank you, Wayne.
Any other questions?
None from the trustees.
All right. Well, thank you once again for allowing me to present the statements this evening. And I'll leave you to the rest of your agenda. Have a very good evening.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Bye for now.
So thanks for setting that up, Jody, and doing that. And it is always good, and I'm glad that we just wanted to get from our auditor that I guess in my terms is a clean bill of health, meaning is that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's as the way that we need to do it. So congratulations to you and your team for doing that. Thank you. So I'm gonna go to 3.1 Chair's comments, and we normally have share a story. I'm gonna open up to share a story as we normally do. Trustee Wilson.
On Tuesday, October the 14th, I attended Centennial School Parent Council meeting. This was their AGM and appointment and election of the PAC board members. The crosswalk at MacArthur and Minnewawa has had crosswalk lights installed, and the ground has been packed and prepared for a sidewalk. The sidewalk will be in next year's town budget. The Centennial PAC has many activities planned for the students. The events coordinator plans events for students such as hot lunches, breakfast program, trunk or treat, and movie nights. Several fundraising plans are also underway. Very busy PAC.
Thanks, Trustee Wilson. Anyone else? Trustee Boyson?
So yesterday, Jody Thiessen, Trevor Reed, and a number of trustees attended the Northeastern Municipal Forum in Great Falls. Proud to say that two of the agenda items were, the first one was Sunrise School Division report presented by our own Paul Magnan, and the second one was Sunrise School Division and Area Council Roundtable. So the roundtable discussions provided an opportunity for trustees to connect with council members and staff from the communities that they represent. Approximately half an hour was allotted for questions and discussing topics relevant to their areas. In policy number 3 for the role of the board has identified community leadership as one of their roles. The roundtable provided a very positive, collaborative opportunity to communicate and involve our community partners. So I look forward to the sharing of what was discussed at all the roundtables, and it was a very productive afternoon.
Thanks, Trustee Boyson. Anyone else? Trustee Smith?
On October 15th, Robin and I both attended the Beaujeu Early Years PAC. It was their AGM, so they had a new president because the past president moved to the city. They had a very good turnout. They had over quorum, I believe, which is first for quite a while, actually, so it was very well attended. They have a lot of different things coming up on the agenda, and one thing I like that they do at this PAC is the parent request a topic that they want to learn about at the next meeting. And then one of the teachers does a little bit of a presentation. So they want to learn on how, next pack, they want to learn on how their kids are graded. So the teacher is going to be doing a presentation on that at the next pack. Their next pack is on November 12th at 7 p.m. And they already have their Christmas concerts set. So the early years concerts are going to be the 17th and 18th of December. So those ones are already booked. On the 16th, Robin and I both attended the Gillis Pack. They also have a lot of different things going on. They do need some more members. So if anyone wants to come out, their next meeting is November 20th. They have a possible, I don't know if they decided on going with their new, Robin, that new fundraiser. Did they decide on, confirm on it? You haven't heard? Okay. So possibly a new fundraiser opportunity coming out of Gillis. So they do have an Instagram page as well, so keep an eye on that. I haven't heard about their Christmas concert yet. On the 17th, I was lucky enough to take part on treaty training with our teachers. I went out to Lower Fort Garry, and the first part of the day took me out of my comfort zone. I had to do a skit with teachers on the stage, and that was definitely out of my comfort zone. We'll just say that. The rest of it was a bit of a rainy day, but I brought my umbrella. So it was interesting because, as we know, Treaty 1 was signed at Lower Fort Garry, so it was interesting there. They didn't have all the buildings open, but it was still nice. One benefit of going there when they're closed is you get to go behind the ropes. So I got to go behind the counter at the general store, which is something I've never got to do, so I was pretty excited about that. And some of the other areas that you don't get to go, we got to go. So it was a really fun experience and definitely took me out of my comfort zone.
Thank you. Anyone else? Trustee Harris.
I won't be a broken record and repeat a couple items from others. That's great. Last Tuesday, I had the opportunity to attend the Town of Beausejour Council meeting and spoke on behalf of the division's objection to zoning bylaw changes that are going on around the École Beausejour Early Years School here in Beausejour. And on Friday, I too attended the treaty training day. I went to the Edward Schreier School and attended 3 sessions that day. Approximately 200, I believe, staff members were at the school attending different things, and it was a great day and enjoyed by all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else missed? So I'm going to go ahead and share a couple things. Is that I have video of the skit for Trustee Smith, so if anybody wants to, or maybe we'll do it, put it on later this week, on here, is that we'll do that. At Parvey School, there was October the 15th, a coffee house, and which showcased the student and staff talent. It was a pretty good evening, so kudos to the people that are there. On the 14th, I had the opportunity to go to Lac du Bonny with Assistant Superintendent Fieldberg to go to Heroes Alliance meeting. And the Heroes Alliance is a group of former Sunrise School Division people with Lucci's, and they're working on continuing doing counseling and providing therapy for Lac du Bonny residents. So it was a great opportunity to meet and talk about some of the things that they're doing, and they've been sharing stats about certainly some of the stuff that they've done. So kudos to that group as to where things have been going. I don't have anything else. Do you guys have anything? Yep, Mr. Reid.
I just wanted to share that on October 9th, I had the opportunity to attend the SCI football game at the complex in Oakbank. And I know the team's been around for several years, and I'm not sure how the culture of that team and the support it receives has evolved. I'm sure it has lots to do with the coaches and the staff and the students and the parents. But I was just very impressed. It was more than just a football game. That was a community event. You know, the attendance would have been measured in the hundreds. They had an announcer that was kind of keeping people informed of the play of the game. There was a barbecue going on, and just generally speaking, it was a great atmosphere. So I just thought that was worth noting. The unfortunate part was the wrong team won. The bad guys won that one, but looking forward to see how SCI moves into the playoffs. They've got a good-looking squad there. So.
Thank you, everybody, for sharing. Appreciate it. So we now have some business to do with regard to our auditor's presentation. So 4.2 is be it resolved that the board accept the draft audited financial statement for Sunrise School Division to June 30th, 2025 as presented. I need a move in a second. A move by Trustee Boytson, seconded by Trustee Dent. Any questions to it? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 8-0, thank you. 4.3 has be it resolved that the board accept the draft audited financial statement for the Ada Dyson Hewitt Scholarship Fund to June 30th, 2025 as presented. Trustee Nicol, do you want to move this? I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Boytson, seconded by Trustee Rowan. Any comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 8-0, thank you. And the last one is, be it resolved that the board accept the draft audited financial statement for Sunrise School Division Scholarship and Donation Fund to June 30th, 2025 as presented. Move in a seconder. Moved by Trustee Wilson and seconded by Trustee Dent. Questions to it? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it was passed 8-0, thank you. We're moving on to our minutes. Our minutes from October the 7th. Be it resolved the board adopt the October 7th regular board meeting minutes. Mover and a seconder, moved by Trustee Rowan and seconded by Trustee Smith. Any questions to the minutes? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it was passed 8-0, thank you. Moving on to the superintendent's report, Mr. Reid.
Yeah, a few things to highlight over the last couple of weeks. Certainly a big one is Assistant Superintendent Fielberg and myself. We've begun our official school visits. We've been out in lots of schools already this year, but our official visits are we get to go out and talk to schools about you know, their school goals and progress they're making towards student achievement. I think we were 6 visits last week. We got 2 more this week and 4 next week, so that keeps us busy. And so, but it's always good to be in schools. This Friday, of course, there's no school for students as it's the annual MTSPD Day where we'll see all of our teachers in our school division attending professional development opportunities, you know, across the region and into Winnipeg. 37 subject area groups offer professional development for all teachers in Manitoba. So that's an exciting opportunity for them. Just a reminder to all of our parent councils that we've got our divisional PAC meeting is held this Thursday, 6 o'clock here at the Sunrise Education Center. While unfortunately it's too late to RSVP for the dinner component, there's always room for the meeting component. So if there's any PAC groups that have not attended, we'd still welcome you at the meeting. So please get in touch with myself, Secretary Treasurer Jody Thiessen, or Board Assistant Sarah Scott. And so, like I say, we can't have you for dinner, but we'd still love to have you for the meeting. So, And it's been mentioned a couple times already this evening, but last Friday was the second day that we offered our teachers of the provincially mandated treaty training. It was hosted in conjunction with staff from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, as well as a variety of elders and knowledge keepers, from across our region. We had the main site here in Beausejour that hosted, 200 people, but of course, we also had people all over the region. Masco Project up in the Powerview Pine Falls area, Sandy Soto Center here, the Bannock Point Petroforms in the Whiteshell, Okanagan Marsh, the Lockport Dam, Lower Fort Garry, and the Canadian Museum for Human Rights. When you host, event for 600 staff members, there is a ton of work that goes into it, and probably too many thank yous to mention. But certainly the initiative was led by our program leader, Elena Spence, with the assistance of our division principals. Thank you to Jennifer Baker and Jamie Wojcik, who did a lot of the logistics for the team. But then there's a long list of divisional staff that also hosted at the sites, presented at the sites. So, just thank you to everyone that made that day a success. As we heard, positive feedback on that day for sure. And the last thing I was just going to share is one more thank you. We are well into the school year. We've got all kinds of sports teams and extracurricular events going on. That happens every year, and it's just always good a couple times a year to say thank you and acknowledge all the staff, and volunteers that put in countless hours, into those athletic programs and intramural programs for our student athletes to participate in. So a big thank you going out to those staff and volunteers.
Thanks, Trevor, for sharing all that information, certainly about our staff and a number of things that are going on. Thanks for doing that. Any questions for Mr. Reid? Okay, so we have our board reporting schedule that is there, and a reminder is that if you take a look at the board reporting schedule, we have, part of it is we have our grade 7, 8 data. We talk a little bit about our parent councils. We talk a little bit about our annual report. That'll come out a little bit later. So, sorry, not our annual report, our annual audit, and we've had the audit already. So is there anything, questions about the reporting schedule? Thanks for keeping that and keeping us on track for that, for sure. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Jody.
Great, thank you. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to just do a quick topic discussion here. We had the report to read, some things I want to highlight. Training for fishing, so fishing, not the reeling and catching of the fish, but it is the fishing of the email. So our IT department has been very active and very mindful of the scamming that is going through all school divisions, and it is it's quite common. We have layers of security, but there are times where those emails do slip in, they do sneak in through the layers of security, and they look just like a regular email. So we've gone out and started new training with staff, but as well with the latest updates in our Outlook emails, there is a thing called Report Fish. So you can go on into your Outlook, and if you find that there is an unusual email that Jody Feason's asking me to change my banking information, or Trevor Reid, Superintendent Trevor Reid has a great business opportunity for you. It may sound fishy, it likely is, and you can actually report it through a tool. And a memo went out to staff about a week and a half ago, just letting them know that it exists. Rather than clogging up our service tickets, you can report it right through Outlook, and it shoots the message out to everybody. It captures it in the algorithms, and therefore it captures the email handle and tries to lock it down as soon as possible so it doesn't roll out into other people's inboxes. So that's a new tool that they've installed through the latest updates. It's pretty cool. And then I don't really get a lot of field trips. As the Secretary-Treasurer, I like visiting the schools, but a unique thing to my job on October 2nd was myself and a number of management from transportation and maintenance and purchasing. We actually went to the Quintex location for laundering and services for the textiles, And this to me was a pretty cool field trip. We got to see the inside of the facility, and we do a lot of business with them with regards to our maintenance uniforms. We will be purchasing other blazers, or I should say high-vis vests for our bus drivers. So there's a lot of clothing opportunities, and Quintex is a local business right in our backyard of Winnipeg. They are Canadian and owned right here in Winnipeg. So when we're applying the local purchasing policy, this is the closest to local on a big company scale as possible. There's other businesses like Canadian Linen. They're out there, but they are actually owned by outside of Canada. So this is our backyard basically, and we were able to tour the venue and take a look at what they were all doing. And what's really cool is they will have the Sunrise logo, and they have machines there that can manufacture and do logos on a massive chain. So it's really cool. We were really fortunate to check it out, and a lot of businesses do business with them. So we're pretty lucky to see that. So you'll see their mats here throughout the school division in some of our locations, uniforms, bus driver apparel. We were able to negotiate a fair deal, a fair price for the next 3 years, and after we issued an RFP. So that's my summary.
Thanks, Jody. Any questions? Trustee Smith?
I can't remember what our budget is for like mats and that, because Quintex is actually really expensive, if I remember right, because we switched from Quintex when I was somewhere else, because they're actually, unless we only change the mats out like every so often, or how that is, because
so not all our facilities will have a mat, but in the summer weather, we will change it out now once a month. And then winter weather, it'll be probably bi-monthly. So we've negotiated fluctuation. When it comes to comparisons, by doing the RFP, they're virtually the same price when it comes to price for that. And I think it was because we budgeted, or it was, RFP was issued based on a number of levels. So we had rental and purchase. So so as a whole, overall, yeah, when it comes to mat rentals, they weren't the higher. They were competitive. Yeah.
Anyone else for Jody? Jody, I want to comment on, kind of thank you for, again, bringing something up to the board a little bit earlier, and actually for taking a pretty strong stand at a meeting that you were just at. And that meeting is really about the heating system at Springfield Collegiate, and the board has decided that from your help, Jody, that at least the minimum of the 4 trustees from the Springfield area want to go meet with the minister's office, because we've had enough of and I think that we've put our kids and our staff through enough there. Is that we're going to go meet with the minister's office to talk a little bit about that we're not happy, and we want to change pretty quick as to what it is. Whoever's going to pay for it, it needs to be rectified, and thanks for bringing that to our attention, and we'll keep everybody apprised as to where we are with that meeting and how we're going, because our kids at SEI and staff deserve a lot better. Thank you for that. So now we have, going to board business, our provincial assessment data. Mr. Reid?
So you've got the report there. Lots of information in terms of the charts and the graphs at the back end of the report, looking at all the individual sectors. But sort of the summary of the interpretation is what we routinely see with our student achievement results. Our grade 7 students in our English program and our grade 8 students in the English program are, performing slightly above provincial averages. For our French immersion students, their grade 7 numeracy scores are above provincial averages. And for grade 8 French immersion students, their ELA scores, again, a couple of indicators slightly below provincial average, but mostly at or above performance in all the areas. However, when we look at our grade 8 students and their French immersion scores, again, we're not seeing the results that we would expect or we would want to see. We had this discussion last year, of October last year. We saw similar results over the course of the school year. Division Principal Chris Gasperti was working with our French immersion schools to ask some questions and try and address this. And it really didn't net any results. So when we look at the data, this is the data that we get going back over 4 or 5 years across multiple student cohorts. And it's not consistent with the French immersion data we see at grade 3, 4. It's not consistent with our French immersion graduation rates. It's not consistent with the marks we see on the grade 12 Francais exam, and it's not consistent with the marks that we see on the report cards for these same students. So that flat out tells me that we have a lack of understanding with our teachers in terms of how to score the assessment. And so we're going to have to take another look at that, and we can actually pull that data by individual schools. So we'll actually now break it down by individual schools to see if it's a concern across all schools, if it's one school that's skewing results or what the case, and we'll dig back in, because there's nothing that lines up that say this would actually be indicative of student achievement based on all the other data sets that we have, on the same students. So.
Any questions for Mr. Superintendent Reid? So, Mr. Reid, is it possible that in the new year you come back to the board with, hey, this is what we dug into, and come back to us with, here's what we found, or here's the plan as we move forward? Because we're always going to try to hold you is we're expecting that our students are going to do better than the average, and so that's what we would like. And if not, then what's the plan to go ahead and do that? If you could come back to us, that'd be great. Is that okay with the board for Trevor to come back to us in the new year? Okay. Thank you for doing that. So division of class size is there for information. Did you want to share anything, Mr. Reid?
Just that it's kind of a new report that was asked for. I think it's good for the board to have a look at and see our class sizes across the division. There's a couple of anomalies for sure, but I think where a report like this is going to become most valuable is when we come around to budget time in the spring, making sure that we're being efficient with the allocation of staffing to schools. So there are a couple of anomalies on here. I don't know if anyone has any questions. I'd be happy to speak to them if there were. So,
any questions for anyone? Thank you for sharing this. I know that we asked for it, and it is a good indicator. It is some eyeballs to us as to, in particular, we hear from one school, Springfield Middle School, always about the challenges that are there, and they do have, larger class sizes compared to the rest of the division. And so, you know what, that's something we need to put in our minds as we move forward, because there certainly is that, Bob has been talked to us through you about that, and yeah, you know what, let's keep our eye on the ball as we move forward, certainly with it, and thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Okay. 8.3 is inclement weather procedure.
Yes, as the winter season approaches, we get to talk about one of everybody's favorite topics, and inclement weather and closures. And so we, of course, do have a procedure, EBCE, that outlines our process for inclement weather closures. The Provincial Teachers Collective Agreement sort of forced a bit of a change in our procedure, and we used to shut down by cold weather across 3 regions. And so we had 3 weather reporting sites, formerly Victoria Beach, which is now Great Falls, Pinawa, and the Winnipeg International Airport. We hung on to those 3 sites because geographically we have such a large division, and we do have some temperature fluctuation. But after working with this for a year I can come back and report to the board that using the 3 sites actually causes, frustration and confusion, not only for myself as a decision maker, but for many of our parents and staff members, because what we'll often see is one of the 3 regions, former regions, but one of the 3 temperature reporting sites hitting the threshold for cold weather and the other one's not. And so whether or not we use that data to open or close, we're typically left with a group of families or a group of staff members wondering why, we made the decision that we did. Which can be explained, but it is an extra step in the process. So my recommendation coming forward would be to choose a single weather site, for the division. Now that presents a little bit of a logistical challenge, and I've outlined 2 choices that I think are appropriate for the board to consider, but would be open to other ones as well. Option 1 would be to identify a single Environment Canada weather site to take our temperature from. That comes from with the benefit of having the credibility of the data coming from an identified weather reporting station. But it also comes with the challenge that we only have one such site in our school division, and it is on the extreme eastern side of the school division. Other than that, we would be going to a weather station outside of our school division to draw the temperature. The second option would be to choose a weather reporting service, such as the Weather Network, one that lots of our families probably check in with on a regular basis, and use that for the community of Beausejour. That's, a central location, to the division. I think it's one that would make sense to most folks. The challenge there is the Weather Network does not maintain any physical equipment to report the temperature. They use computer formatting based on everyone else's weather, and they come up with a computer model of what the temperature is. Usually typically pretty accurate, but not from a weather reporting station. It's a computer model of the temperature. So what I did to sort of support the discussion of the trustees is I did provide a summary of what other school divisions do. You can see on there that it is all over the map in terms of what other school divisions are doing to report temperature. There's not one consistent format that, I think at Sunrise we could say if we did this, we would be lining up with most other school divisions. That's not the case. So you see some regional ones there. Interesting to look at something like Red River Valley, which is south of the city, that uses Winnipeg Airport as Environment Canada, but their next closest one would be in Emerson, so which would again be outside and probably just as far south as Winnipeg Airport is north of them, right? The ones on the bottom of the page from Pine Creek down to Southwest Horizon, those would be divisions that would be geographically similar in size, to Sunrise, and would have the sort of similar temperature variability across. When I spoke to a couple of the superintendents, the comments were pretty consistent in terms of their experience was regardless of temperature variability, which some said would range from -42 to -46 on any given day, as long as they had a clear procedure that everyone was aware of. Parents accepted the fact that variability does exist and that it's not a perfect world we live in. So I personally don't have a preference. I know the board often points or asks me to make a recommendation. I think either one of the 2 options that I've presented, I think I would be comfortable with and could explain to parents. But I would ask the board to, have a bit of a conversation and, maybe speak on behalf of what they think, the families that they represent would see as the more credible or understandable option.
I was just wondering if maybe we couldn't bring this up to our divisional pack and just see, get the feel for what they have to say. We're getting it out in the community. We have some representatives from across our whole division, and just to pick their brains.
So we meet with him in 2 days. So what's timeline for you, Trevor, as to when do you need something with us? And, yeah, let's go there.
Well, if you want to get out your crystal ball and tell me the first day the temperature is going to approach minus 45, we would probably want to be, I would say, to be respectful to parents and families, a good month, in advance of that, in terms of communicating out to them if we're changing our procedures, so we can do large scale information with our families, so there's no surprises. So. There's no problem for us coming back to the next meeting after we've met with the DPAC group and finishing the discussion at that point in time. So, yeah.
So if one of the things that we talk about is community engagement, right? Here's a great community engagement for trustees. So if we came back on either November the 4th or November the 18th, if we came back on November the 4th, it would give us feedback from our DPACs. And maybe if we came back on the 4th or the 18th, I don't think that before the 18th we're going to have a 30 below thing. Whether that gives us a little bit of a heads up, I don't know that. You're right. Yeah, I hear you. But why don't we see about, are we okay about potentially coming back on the 4th? It's going to give trustees an opportunity now for the next, couple of weeks to reach out to people and say, hey, this is what we're looking at, to get some feedback. You're right, Trustee Boyton. We have a DPAC meeting that's here, and we have a good representation from across the division. Again, they're not going to make the decision, but they're going to give us some feedback, and eventually we need to make a decision and own it. So we'll decide, and then we give direction to Trevor about going ahead and doing it, and Trevor's going to fill it out. But that would be fine. So you can live with if we come back on the 4th? And the rest of us, we can live with coming back on the 4th. So, Trustee Denton, we're going to expect you to walk up and down the streets of Oakbank with a sandwich board and just ask that question. I'm sure by doing that, I'm sure by doing that you'll get lots of responses to where it is. Anybody else want to comment on that? Not the sandwich board, but the feedback. November the 4th, we're good. Okay, I think we got our answer. Okay, thank you. And of course then, for anybody people that are listening online or going to watch this, is that call your local trustee, put a question in later on, contact the superintendent's office, but certainly what we're doing is we're trying to, there is no perfect answer to this, but as long as it's clear, it's good. So thank you. Next one is the Commissioner for Teacher Professional Conduct, Mr. Reid.
Yeah, this is primarily provided just as an information item for trustees, just so you're aware that this position actually now exists. As the report indicates, this goes all the way back to the fall of 23 when the province legislated the Commissioner of Teacher Professional Conduct. And then, of course, gave that individual some pretty significant, powers and responsibilities. So back in January, the legislation granted the commissioner the authority to investigate concerns regarding teacher professional misconduct. So this traditionally would have been a divisional responsibility to make a recommendation to the certification branch about the suspension or revoking a teacher certificate. And while we still have the ability to do that as a school division, there's also an external process that can now be engaged, by the commissioner. And then it was kind of pushed through very quickly, and I'm comfortable in saying that. But on the start of this school year, the legislation also gave the commissioner to investigate teacher competence. And so, the province did identify the competence standards, and there are 5 competence standards, and I provided the link for the board to have a look at. I would agree that this is what we would expect from our teachers. I think the competence standards are, by and large, are what we want our teachers to be doing in the classrooms. It's just important to note that while we can make a recommendation to the commissioner, so can the public. And so, we'll see how that process goes if it comes up. However, there is very clear language, and I've included some of it in the report, that there is a high bar in terms of evidence that must be presented for the commissioner to involve themselves in an investigation in teacher competence. There has to be serious evidence present there. Otherwise, it's very likely that the complaint is just going to be dismissed. Well, I think last thing, it's just important to note about this whole process and involvement of the commissioner. It is in a process that is external to the school division, so there's really nothing that we have as a school division that we are responsible for, other than if the commissioner does launch an investigation, either for professional misconduct or competence. They're probably likely going to, ask the senior administration to provide information for their investigation. But it is an external process, nothing for the trustees to do, just it's a very significant change that we wanted to draw your attention to.
Thanks, Mr. Reid. Any questions for Trevor? Trustee Smith?
A friend of mine was actually, who works in the justice system, was actually quite surprised that this doesn't include assistants, like teachers' assistants. It's only teachers that can be reported. And they're like, it doesn't include them? I'm like, no, just teachers.
I would say that this legislation, yes, does speak to the actual teacher certification process. But like I sort of alluded to, before this legislation was put in place, there was still a process for accountability for misconduct of teachers, where we would, as a school division, receive those complaints, do an investigation, and then, follow through with our human resources department or the province as needed. If there was concerns, about the professional conduct or professional misconduct about any person in our system, whether it was an educational assistant or anyone else working with children, if we receive that, we still have other procedures to investigate, including anything that would involve the RCMP or Child and Family Services. And so, yes, legislation specific to teachers, but other mechanisms in place for sure to keep children safe and hold teachers accountable to their professional conduct. So,
Anything further for Mr. Reid? Thanks, Trevor. PAC report, Jeff?
Apologize, I haven't been putting reports up on the screen this evening. It's just been sliding by. But yeah, just here for piece of, for your information again, it's on the board reporting schedule. I did follow up with our 2 schools that currently do not have active PACs. ESS said they try annually. They just have not got, the uptake, which not unusual. Our most active PACs are at our elementary schools and middle schools, and our high schools do find it challenging. The second school on there, Lac du Bonnie Senior School, they do not have an active PAC, but they actually have 3 parents who are interested. And so I just had that conversation with the principal at the senior school and provided her with some information about getting those 3 parents organized so they can actually, start a PAC. So that'll be forthcoming.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Any questions for Mr. Reid? Okay, thanks for sharing that. The next part is that I had a trustee, and it's Trustee Dent, that approached me about presenting at the Springfield Agricultural AGM. So for us to go ahead and do that, we do need to make a motion for us to do that. So be it resolved that the board approved Trustee Dent to attend the Springfield Agricultural AGM Dinner and Awards Banquet at the Dugald Community Club on November the 1st. I need to get it on the floor first, and then you can have it. Motion by Trustee Boydson, seconded by Trustee Wilson. Go ahead, Trustee Dent.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it just doesn't have to be myself. I've gone for the last 3 years now, so certainly if we're looking at making a motion for me to attend, I'm happy to attend and will gladly attend and bring greetings from the board. But I think the invitation was to all trustees. The Springfield Agriculture Society, they've been a big contributor to the division, sending several of our kids to music camp. Always at their AGM, they opened it up to the band program to come and perform for those in attendance. So certainly, I mean, I'm happy to go and I will go, so I appreciate that if the vote goes my way. But also too, I'd like to just make sure that doesn't have to be exclusively to me. I think it's a good opportunity for any other trustee that may want to attend as well.
Thank you. So are there any other trustees that want to comment on this or are interested in going? Go ahead.
I did get an invitation also, and I already replied that I had other commitments, so it's up to you, Linda. And I'm sure if you...
I did get an invitation. Unfortunately, their AGM always falls on the same weekend as a conference I attend, so I will be out of town.
So I did get an AGM, I did get an invite, and all of a sudden I looked at it, oh, I know that Dustin probably wants to go way more, so thank you for that. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, then we'll vote. And it passed 8-0, thank you. You're kind of sweating there for a little bit, weren't you? Okay, so we'd have another motion we need to pass with regard to school activity. Be it resolved that the board approve in principle the Ecole Edward Trier School Grade 7 trip to Assisipi Ski Area and Resort January 14th and 16th, 2026, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Moved by Trustee Smith and seconded by Trustee Harris. Thank you. Any questions of this? Hearing none, we'll vote. It passed 8-0. Thanks for that. So we're moving on to committee reports. So our policy committee, Trustee Rowan, I'm going to give you the floor.
Thanks, Paul. So last year when we were looking at our policies, it was brought up that we should be looking at using the same verbiage when we were referring to the Board of Trustees. So we did a lot of those changes last year, but in doing so, partway through the year, we made the decision that for wording's sake, it likely made a lot more sense to have it as the Board of Trustees for the first instance, and then in brackets the board, to show the board later on, so that it wasn't just the Board of Trustees, the Board of Trustees, the Board of Trustees, because that becomes very redundant and it makes the document very difficult to read. So you'll notice that we've made some of those changes in some of these policies today. That is actually the only change that's been made on policy 1, but it was one that we wanted to bring forward.
So thanks, Melissa. So the first thing is policy number 1 is, be it resolved the board accept the recommended changes to policy 1, vision, values, and missions as suggested by the policy committee. So moved by Trustee Rowan and seconded by Trustee Wilson. Any comment to that? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. No worries. All good. Okay, so let's go to policy 2 right now, because I think that everybody had. Oh wait, I got policy 1. All right. So what are we on? Are we on policy 1? Okay, so on policy 1, and we had the movers, so we'll vote. Thank you. And it passed 8-0. Thank you for that. So let's, okay, so policy number 2. I'm gonna read it out, Melissa, and then if you want to make any comments to it, I'll come to you. Fair enough? So be it resolved that the board accept the recommended changes to policy 2, Board of Governance model and processes as suggested by the Policy Committee. Moved by Trustee Rowan, seconded by Trustee Wilson. I'm going to give you the floor, Trustee Rowan. Any comments?
So on this policy, it's pretty straightforward. The only big change that we made was 2.5, where we changed it from the board's priority plan to the board's strategic plan, just to align with the wording that we already use.
Thank you. Any comments, further comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. Okay, passed 8-0. I guess when you had the other policy up, I clicked very quick and now it's perfect. Okay, that's good. Let's keep moving. Policy number 3, same thing I'll do with you, Trustee Rowan. Be it resolved that the board accept the recommended changes to policy number 3. The role of the board is suggested by the Policy Committee. Moved by Trustee Rowan and seconded by Trustee Wilson. Trustee Rowan, any comments to it?
So for this one, again, we had changing it to the board in brackets there, but then you'll notice 3.2, 3.3, and 3.5, we made a stem of the board, and then there's just points below it just to make the document flow a little bit better.
Thank you. Any comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 8-0. Thank you. Policy number 13, be it resolved the board accept the recommended changes to policy 13, board evaluation, as suggested by the Policy Committee. Moved by Trustee Rowan and seconded by Trustee Wilson. Any comments, Trustee Rowan?
So for this policy, we did look at amending some of the wording for consistency, and we spent a fair amount of time just rephrasing that first paragraph.
Thank you. Anyone comment? Hearing none, we'll vote. Passed 8-0. Thank you. So the Finance Committee. Where am I? 8:14. Thank you. The Finance Committee. We have signing chair is for October is Trustee Boyson. We have the Finance Committee minutes that are there. Trustee Boyson, is there anything that you would like to share with the board about it?
Just one thing for anybody listening out there. The board did meet with our auditor this afternoon at 5 o'clock. So we did see the long version of his presentation. It gave us an opportunity to ask him questions and anything for clarification. So tonight when we go to approve the audit, we don't ask a lot of questions because we've already done that. So just anybody is out there listening thinking, well, they didn't have any questions to ask. We did, but it was a lot earlier. And just to say that our next meeting for finance is on November the 20th.
I'd also like to add too that Trustee Boyson is that when our auditor comes in and beforehand, when they talked about the fact is they were extremely happy with our finance committee with both Matt Bialik, our finance manager, and with Jody, our secretary treasurer, and that the information was there and we're in good shape. And you know, I talked earlier about a clean audit. When somebody talks to us that way, it's you know, beforehand, it's really great to hear how things are going. So kudos again, Jody, for that work. Thanks for sharing that. So we need a check register. So 816, be it resolved that the board receive the September 2025 check register. The total amount of checks at $2,221,197.10 reviewed on October 16th by the Finance Committee for information as submitted. Moved by Trustee Boyson and seconded by Trustee Dent. Any questions to it? Hearing none, we'll vote then. And thank you, it passed 8-0. The Education Foundation Committee, so our first meeting is coming up is on the 27th. So I don't know, Jody, if you have anything for that, but that's our first meeting from our committee, correct? Okay, anything to add, Jody, or are we good? We just wanted to inform people.
Yeah, I think we're going to review some of our marketing information and a deeper dive into our financials. And it'll be our first meeting, so we'll introduce Donna Wilson to the board and what we do and why we do it.
Thank you. So there's nothing from from the ad hoc land planning committee, correct, Trustee Rowan? There's nothing from there?
No updates at this time.
So we have professional development, so there's been a ton, our Northeast Municipal Forum, what just happened. And again, thank you to the trustees that were able to be there and the interaction that we had with our municipalities. There was some really good feedback that came back and forth, so thank you for that. There is the CNL Whiteshell Regional Gathering. I don't remember who's all going. Do we have that down? 1, 2. Jody, Lorraine, Paul, Alicia, and Diane. I knew that. Thank you. Do we need to do anything with this motion? Or do we already have that done? I have to read it? No. Be it resolved, the board approve one additional trustee to a maximum of 5 trustees to attend the 2025 CNL Whiteshell Regional Gathering of Leaders on November the 5th in 2025 in Beausejour, Manitoba. You're a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Rowan and seconded by Trustee Dent. Any questions to it? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 8-0, thank you. So a reminder about MSBA fall regional meetings. A reminder that the PD Day on November the 24th. We're at Larders on November the 8th. And then put in your date book for March 19th and 20th with MSBA as we move forward. We're missing anything from anyone? Divisional Financial Summary Report is there. Jody, did you want to add anything to it? It's a good report. Have it take a look. Jody, did you want to add anything? No. Finance Committee, anything you want to add about it?
Nothing about that, but I was just talking about the Northeastman Municipal Forum. We all sat at our round tables, and I just wonder if maybe trustees couldn't make little notes and submit them so we know what was discussed at all the different tables. I mean, Diane's not here tonight, so she can't report on anything. Just some quick handwritten notes of anything that came up at your table that would be of interest to the rest of us.
Or do we want to share now? Okay. So then let's, what I like about the idea about the notes, but I think that if we can do as much, share then certainly with the public so that they can go ahead and do that. So let's put that on as that we'll get ready to quickly share individually next go around.
Maybe you could just add it as an agenda item so when we get to it going through our packages, it'll remind us.
Sarah's already noted it down and put it there, I know for sure. Thank you. No, great. So nice to know information, certainly about a number of things, certainly with regard to a number of the different things that are happening at our schools. Thanks for going ahead and doing that. Are we missing anything from, and again, lots of activities. I think, Mr. Reed, you already talked about the fact is, lots of schools are gearing up with a lot of their activities and drama and sports programs, and so kudos to that. And some people are even winning awards, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Mr. Den? I'm going to give you the chance to, that sporting event there.
Yeah, the Springfield Collegiate had won a hockey tournament that they hosted that my son and I got the privilege to time keep, so there was no bias at all. But no, they performed really well, and they won in the gold medal game, so it was kind of just an honor to be there. And as with, and we've said this before, with the some of our school events when they're out in the community. They're better attended than for instance in Oakbank. They're better attended than most of the junior hockey games that happen in that community. So it's just, in all honesty, it's just great to see the community come together and come out. And I was talking to Vice Principal Blockert on Friday, on October the 17th, and said that they were able to raise some money with some of the silent auctions that they were doing in the 50-50. So yeah, that's tremendous success financially as well as on the ice. Who knows? Maybe next year Powerview can be maybe in that final. Who knows?
Thank you. Okay, even though I'm still going to give you an opportunity, didn't I see something there about some cross-country runners doing something that you want to share?
Okay, yeah, I can share that as well. École Dugald, they brought home a banner. They don't have many in their gym, but some of the girls were pretty excited that they won the cross-country banner, and so that they signed the banner last week, and it will be hung at a later date. A ceremony, I guess, maybe will be held. So looking forward to maybe something about that. But no, they were very proud that those girls had trained hard and worked hard. I know most of the girls, and so they were very ecstatic. And one of them I'm related to. So she was no, big news.
So you can say that. We'll give you the opportunity. You had your daughter, and your daughter was part of the team, and kudos. Those are great things that are going on. So nice.
Well, then I'll continue and say that we have the Dugald girls are playing in a volleyball tournament. Who's got their mic on? Tomorrow in Boise.
All right, lucky we didn't hear a microphone on that one, that's for sure. All right, thank you for that. Jody, do we have any questions from the public?
Nope, we don't.
Okay, thank you. We are going to move back into in-camera, but I do believe that we don't have anything, we do not have any kind of resolutions coming out of in, so we are not going to go back into regular meeting, so we can adjourn now for the people that are online and anybody staying. So we can adjourn our meeting, and we have a few things that we'll just work on in camera. Fair enough? So we're adjourned. Thank you.